Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on this special interview on NewsX. And today, in our custody, not custody, but it certainly feels like that. In our presence is well-known filmmaker Homi Adajania to talk about his new project, his labor of love. Yes, Murder Mubarak, that of course you will be watching very, very soon on Netflix. Homi, welcome to NewsX. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Start.
Swagat hai aapka, and it actually feels like I'm interrogating you because we're on sets, and this is a project that of course has been talked about a while. A lot of people have loved the book by Anuja Chauhan as well, but I hope you're not guilty of murdering anyone.
Not yet. The shoot isn't over though, so maybe I will be. But coming back to this location,
yes,
I must tell you, this is the location which is being used where the final revelation of the murderer will happen.
Okay.
So you're quite close.
Okay.
In your hunch.
So
but I will not reveal anything.
Yeah, this is an exclusive tidbit that you've heard right here on NewsX. Let's put breaking news bands right below that. But we still don't know who the murderer is. But just talking about this project now, how did it come your way? Of course, it's a very popular book by Anuja Chauhan. Interestingly, I believe she's already announced a sequel for it. So
Fast You to Death or something like that, right?
Yes, that's right. So
even I heard about that.
Yeah. So obviously she's already thinking where the story will go next. But how did the project come about? Let's talk about that first.
Like every other project does, it just landed on my table. Dinesh Vajan came to me, the producer, and said, "You want to do a Netflix film for Netflix?" Which has been a dream for a while for me. They've rejected a couple of my earlier shows.
Okay.
I'm kidding. But no, it came to me. It was I heard the story first. I was narrated the whole story pretty much. Then they got these writers on board, Supro and Ghazal, who have extremely, very sort of cleverly whittled it down into a film format of a whodunit, but still against this extremely unique backdrop, which is a elite gymkhana culture, which is extremely quite it's quite a minority, and I mean not everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
So it's fun to sort of open up that space. It is a slightly hyper real version of the gymkhanas.
Yeah.
So we've sort of amalgamated certain facets of this kind of life. And of course, 6 of the members are prime suspects in the prime suspects because the guy who gets murdered has been blackmailing all these 6 people. So they all have a motive for why they could have murdered him.
Yeah.
And then we use Pankaj Tripathi's character, who's Bhavani Singh, the ACP, who sort of comes into, and for him it's a completely alien world. He can't believe this exists. In the middle of Delhi, in the middle of everything, he suddenly, when he arrives in here, he's just completely gobsmacked by the fact that this exists and what sort of ensues in this place, and their rules and regulations and politics. And so he is sort of the eyes of the audience because it's such a unseen kind of world. So what he gets completely, whether he gets gobsmacked by it or disgusted by it or whatever, but I mean, you sort of see it through his eyes. Because he is the sort of common eyes who come into this sort of rare setup and exclusive setup. And it's very interesting, sort of his take on it and plus the way we see it. And the idea is not to judge it either way, just to sort of showcase it the way it is. But frankly, at the end of it, what he does tend to realize is that it's a bunch of very, very privileged people living an extremely deluded life within the 4 walls of the Royal Delhi Club.
Yeah.
And they consider it to be an oasis, and they consider it to be the place where they socialize and they meet people who are, I mean, they all sort of are there for each other, but no one has each other's backs.
Yeah.
So it's always, they're there just for their existence, and they love to talk trivial shit and make the biggest things out of nothing. And give sort of validation to their lives, and they're most concerned about what the other member thinks of the other one. But frankly, at the end of the day, they're all very lonely people waiting for 4 o'clock in the evening where they can get dressed and sort of come in their avatars as these so-called characters in this exclusive setup. And Bhavani Singh sort of by the end of it wisens up to what kind of reality and life this is.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and in between all of it, a couple of murders ensue.
And who the murderer is, of course, is also very much part of the plot. But just coming to the ensemble in just a second, but on on ground, on the sets, you've given us a bit of a sneak preview today of how it's been like, and it's a beautiful set, and we've had the privilege today of exploring it, of course, with the captain of the ship. How has it been like for you on location? Because this could have, of course, been shot in a film city, or it could have been shot anywhere else. But you've actually come on ground, to locations like this to shoot. How has it been like for you, and do you believe that makes a difference?
I have a slight allergy to sets.
Okay.
I mean, unless we have no option.
Yeah.
I am extremely sensitive to smell.
Okay.
So for me, it's extremely important that the actors smell and can feel the place. If it's a place like this, they should be able to feel and sense the dampness, the idea that the cops get really pissed off when they're relegated to this, because the members are complaining of not wanting cops to be roaming around their elite grounds. So when they get relegated to this room, it pisses them off because it's more insulting than anything else, because they're trying to do their jobs. And then when the members are beckoned in here, the way they react to this kind of surrounding. So for me, a set won't work.
Yeah.
In fact, it was quite funny because I was with Pankaj Tripathi, who said, it's quite a change being on a Homi Adajania film where you've taken actually a 5-star hotel and then you've put us into this room, which is actually in the 5-star hotel.
Yeah. You put us also into it today.
There you go. But I think I love shooting on live locations. I find it's the best way to sort of immerse into that environment. When we were searching for this place, there was I was going to shoot the club in Ooty. And it was a sort of, I almost locked on that, and it was extremely quaint, and it was a cliche of a murder mystery. And then I said, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, I'd rather go into a place like this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we can name the hotel, because a lot of nefarious things do happen in it. So, but the fact is that when I came here and I saw the grounds, I realized, I can stitch a lot of live places and make it into what the Royal Delhi Club will be.
Yeah.
And we lucked out on this place.
How much improvisation, really is there on a film set constantly, daily? We've seen, of course, the weather also, play a bit of spoil sport, unseasonal, rain, etc. So how much improvisation is there, and how's it for you with these schedules sometimes going awry?
Well, you have to improvise when you've got, I mean, more than anything else, it's actors' dates.
Okay.
So suddenly you realize that you've got an actor who has to bounce at a certain period of time, because at a certain point of time, because they have to go on to another project they've committed to. So you try and squeeze that in. I shoot relatively fast. I'm not someone who takes more than, I think, 4 takes. Unless, of course, the actor is not performing. But I don't. So usually I'm ahead of the curve or ahead of the sked. Usually, so we manage to not get screwed by things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not really improvising. Sometimes I'll just wrap up like we did today a little earlier than we were supposed to, and some days we'll be pushing it a bit.
Yeah.
But so not in that sense. I mean, I don't try to. I get the scenes I want to get.
Okay. Just talking about your actors now, who you were, of course, referring to. Pankaj Tripathi, how has it been like for you working with him? The first time you're actually working. And then, we'll also get to your talented ensemble. I mean, you've got Dimple Kapadia, who you've, of course,
worked with. She's in it? Dimple's in this?
We saw her on set.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw her on set.
She just lurks around. She tends to.
She's done that in your previous films too. So, Pankaj Tripathi, of course, firstly, first time working with him, how was that?
Pure joy. Pure joy. See, I'll tell you, for me, everything's much more than just making the film. For me, it's about the experience of making the film. Films will come, films will go. I mean, this one will be good for Netflix.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They heard that.
They're all there.
They heard that.
No. But no, seriously, it's about the experience. It's about, I mean, for me, it's very important that I leave a shoot, which is usually a long haul. It's not, I mean, you can make it difficult, It's not easy, but you don't need to see it as difficult. We make the best of it, and we have a very good energy on set, and we make good memories, and we come out of it, I think, better people than when we got in. And for me, doing that is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I make movies. I love telling stories. I make sure that the product is what I've committed to make it. But this is very important for me. And in that vein, I feel meeting Pankaj has been an absolute joy. I mean, it's just as a human being, as a person, as a team player, generous with his other actors, very sure of his own talent, and very real.
Okay.
And let him improvise, and more magic just keeps coming out. So you keep playing with that. You give them a lot of breathing space.
Yeah.
You get I mean, invariably when I get a shot, I'm like, just do one and do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Have fun with it. Screw it up. Do whatever you want. I'll use it in outtakes. I'll use it for promos, or I'll use it as the shot.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You can never say. So I mean, I love doing that. I love making them an integral part of how the complexion of the scene will play out. You know, I'm not I'd like to move the camera around them unless it's a technical shot. So I don't restrict the actors. And I feel that's where you see them perform the way they perform.
True. And is there that difference that comes? I mean, he's also someone who's done a lot of theatre before. You've also worked with Nasir Saab, Pankaj Kapoor. So do you see that difference when you see them perform on set?
For sure. For sure. I mean, you can just let them loose and they won't stop.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other actors who haven't got this kind of experience will sort of start stagnating in a certain space.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Okay, coming to Dimple Kapadia, is she your lucky charm? Are you a lucky charm?
No one's anyone's lucky charm. I don't have a choice to make a film without her.
Okay.
Because I'll have to censor this, but I'll get screwed.
Okay.
So I don't even go down that path.
Yeah.
But I must tell you something about her. Is every film, first she'll sniff out that I'm making a film. Then she'll call me and abuse me. She'll abuse me, means it'll go on for a while, and I've realized that, oh, she's heard I'm making a film. At which point now I have to offer the film to her, which I was anyway intending to do. And then exactly a week before we start shoot, she will, which she didn't do on this film, but she just told me today, she will say, I've had sleepless nights, I don't know how to call you, but I can't do this, I can't do the project. I said, but you were the one who firstly came on. So this is the way we go around and around in a cycle. And today she told me the same thing. She said, I can't tell you, 3 days before shoot I was having sleepless, and I was going to call you and say, I'm out of Murder Mubarak. So I'm like, but what's the point? It's like deja vu, you're going to do it. So why do you go through this like a little child who's acting in their first film? But she'll come to set with the same, in fact Pankaj was saying also, she comes on like an actor who's acting on their first day in terms of her anxiety and her stress levels and after that, of course, she does wonders. But so I don't know why she goes through it, but that's what she does.
You know, we really can see her love for the project. You know, each project she's part of when we were on sets today. You've, of course, you know, and it's a talented ensemble. There's Karishma Kapoor, there's Sanjay Kapoor, and there's Tiska Chopra, Vijay Verma, the list can go on. There's also Sara Ali Khan. Now, you worked with her father extensively before. Any similarities between the two?
No. That's where it ends.
Not at all?
No.
Okay. A lot different.
Very different. Very different. But I guess also that's because he's got the experience and these guys are still sort of finding their wings.
Yeah.
I mean, sense of humor, but even then, oh God, he's like the funniest guy ever. I mean, absurdly funny, very, very, and like what I was saying about how I like to shoot, and also in that sense adds a lot into the thing. So no, I don't see any similarities between them. But she's a very hardworking girl. She's getting it. She's getting it. You'll be quite surprised with her in this film.
Well, looking forward to that. Last couple of questions to you before we let you go, Homi. Before this interrogation finally concludes, और आप अपने रास्ते, हम अपने रास्ते, but we may summon you. We may summon you.
I'm
very,
all
very
yours.
soon. one on Netflix. Has this been something you've been wanting to do, a project on OTT for a while? And how do you see the advent of it? Because we're seeing this discussion, this debate sometimes also, OTT versus theatre. Will both coexist? What is the impact on either? What are your thoughts on that? And also, have you been wanting to work in this space for a while?
I feel they will definitely coexist. I feel theatre is for spectacles which you can't get on OTT. I mean, you won't enjoy on OTT the way you will purely because of the format. For me, I'm more inclined towards OTT because I find a sort of creative freedom without a pressure of a Friday, without the force fits a producer would do of ye song laga, iske liye we have to itna bechna hai Friday pe, ye ticket. All that shit goes out of the window, and you can really, there's a sort of honesty with which you can tell the story exactly how you intended to. And if it goes wrong, then I'm the only one to hang for it. It can't go wrong, but sorry, that sounds quite arrogant, but it can't.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about OTT. There's no, it frees me up in the space that I want to explore, and I enjoy that. Yeah, I've done my big format films, which I've also enjoyed very much.
Yeah.
You love watching your work up there in that size.
No doubt.
But like I said, somewhere there's a creative freedom that you get out of OTTs because firstly the genres they're willing to explore and the maturity with which they're willing to explore it, because I feel that their audience base is so vast that they will find their audience within that.
True.
They aren't depending on a fixed theatre-going audience to come to watch it, and then try and then that's where you get screwed on ticket sales or you do really well. So I find that is the advantage with OTT.
Okay. Final question to you. Now, we do see gaps in between your films, so I'm not going to ask you what you do in
There are
between
no
those.
gaps.
What
I've
you
just
do in
finished a
between
web
those gaps.
series for
Acha.
another OTT,
Okay.
and I've come pretty much within 2 months onto this one.
Okay.
So really
So
no gaps.
clearly-
Now this
clearly no
time I'm
gaps.
really moving ahead fast.
Yeah.
So no one can complain about that.
On that. But I was, of course, not going to ask you what you do in between those gaps, but now there are no gaps as you're telling us. But obviously filmmaking gives you a lot of joy. I wanted to end with what else gives Homi Adajania joy in life?
Oh God, living the rest of my life. I snowboard, I scuba dive, I babysit, I read, I do yoga, I meditate, I play sports, I travel. I mean, there's only a limited amount of life you have. You can't just keep making movies. You need to sort of balance it out, and I pretty much do that. And now that I've grown old, my retirement plan is to make movies more often than I was.
Okay, and that's certainly what you're doing. Walking the talk. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much,
Homi,
man.
on the sets of your new project.
Been a pleasure.
And look forward to Murder Mubarak, as I said, streaming on Netflix. Do watch it, guys, and support their labor of love.